Alex, buying into the Mac Jones hype a little bit, the first statement goes along with that, and that is the Patriots are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. This is coming off of another demolishing of a team that a lot of people seem to be a actual AFC Championship game contender at the beginning of the year. They smashed the Browns. They're 6-4. They have the 12th easiest remaining schedule in the league and 4 very winnable games, or including that with the Jags, Colts, Falcons, and Dolphins. And their hardest games left are the Titans and the Bills twice. 2 divisional games, which, depending on how that goes, and depending on what version of either team we see, we could actually see the Patriots actually win the AFC North. But buy or sell it.
The AFC, the AFC East, but they all
Yes,
kind of in
East.
that
Sweet
northeast section. We almost need to combine those two conferences because it's that geographical thing does not make much sense.
Thanks for covering my ass as best as you could on that one. I appreciate
I mean,
it.
honestly, I think you're right. I kind of like your division better there, but we'll take that up with Roger at a later date.
Hell,
but,
the Patriots could win the AFC North if they're in it right now.
I mean, they did just beat the Browns there, so they're 1-0 in the AFC North right now. Here's the thing. I'm going to sell this statement, and it's for a couple reasons. It's because we don't know if they're legit Super Bowl contenders yet, because they've played one good team that they've beaten in the Cleveland Browns. They lose the game to the Dolphins. They lose a game to the Bucks. They lose a game to other winnable games that they're
beat the Chargers, but also the Chargers have really fallen off recently.
The Chargers win looked great 3 weeks ago, but it's not as good anymore. And it's like you beat up on the Jets, you beat up on the Texans barely, and it's these next 4 weeks before the bye that is really going to separate them as contenders or not. They got to play the Bills, they got to play the Titans, like you said, and it's just going to be one of those tests where we don't know how good this team is until they play consistently good teams. Beating the Browns the way they did was incredible, but that's their first really definitive win. So could they be Super Bowl contenders? Absolutely. Do they have the makeup of it? Yes. But I really still worry that when it gets down to crunch time and you play those playoff games where everyone is just geared towards stopping what you do, I don't know if they have the difference makers on the outside in the pass game to be able to separate themselves in a playoff game. Can you establish the run? Of course you can. I just don't think that there's, those game plans like the Niners had against the Packers in the NFC Championship in 2019, where you can just run the ball down teams' throats, especially because, you're going to have games where it's just higher scoring because you have teams in the AFC like the Bills, like the Chiefs, and you're going to have to play those higher paced games. And with guys like Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar, and your 2 tight ends, I don't know if you have the difference makers in the pass game to be able to win those one-on-one matchups where it feels like the playoffs kind of go to. So I'm going to sell the statement for now, but if they prove over the next 3-4 weeks that they can beat these good teams and they can do it in different ways, then I'll, of course, be bought in for sure.
Absolutely. And the Patriots, they are a good team, and if you take their 2 worst losses, they did lose in week 1 to the Dolphins 17-16, so that's not a good one. That's like the Titans losing to the Jets. It's one of those kind of blemishes. But if you want to take solace in some of these losses, take a look at that Bucks and Patriots game. The Patriots almost were just 2 points away from knocking out the Bucks, and Mac Jones did outperform Tom Brady in that game. So you have to remember that. And they took the Cowboys to overtime, which is still a well-played game, obviously still losses. This is a team that's definitely going to be battling out for those wild card positions, those 5, 6, 7 teams. I could definitely see the Patriots being a 5th seed.
But also with 2 games against the Bills in the division and only and they're tied. I think they're tied with the Bills right now in the win column, so they have everything in front of them to be able to win that division and get a first home field advantage.
They do. I'm just not sure if they could beat the Bills twice is what it looks like they're going to have to do if they want to win this division. They could definitely, split it, a home and home. I definitely are not putting that past them, but also just as easily I could see the Bills winning twice. Just because the Bills are a damn good football team right now. The Bills are ahead in the division just because they have 1 less loss in 1 less game played than the Patriots. The Patriots, if they're I would almost put them as shoo-in for the playoffs at this point. Super Bowl,
I would agree.
Super Bowl is a little bit too much for me at this moment. Kind of to like your reasoning there. I just need to see more from this team. I really do like the trajectory that this Patriots team is on. They looked a little shaky beginning in the year. 4 games, 4 wins in a row now. They're really coming to their own, and this is looking like a scary team that, once again, you don't want to have to play games in Foxborough. You just don't.
It's one of those things though. It's like they got seven games left on the schedule, and I think 10 wins is reasonable, but
Mm-hmm.
10 wins, I don't know if that gets you one of those top four seeds, especially if you split against the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for them to go on the road. As good as Mac Jones has looked, it's still different when you play in January and February on the road in a playoff game. And if you go to a team like the Bills or like the Titans or like the Chiefs, these games are just so much more difficult than these regular season games. So he's going to be challenged like he's never been before, and
Absolutely.
we're going to see a lot out of Mac Jones these next couple weeks for sure.
At least Mac Jones does have experience playing in high level games and high pressure games, championship games, but of course NFL is a different beast. But
And a lot of those, and that's the weird thing too is, I mean, not weird, but obviously this is kind of how they draw it up. But
mm-hmm.
the big games in a college setting are almost always in weather controlled environments.
The
So he's
domes,
never.
especially the SEC.
Yes, and so
Mm-hmm.
you never really have those tests, especially playing in the Northeast like that. It's going to be a different ball game when you go to all
Absolutely.
those top teams besides the Titans play in some sort of cold weather environment. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a lot different
Mm-hmm.
than what he's been used to.
I agree. I definitely agree with that one. But hey, if Bill Belichick can prepare his team, he's a damn good head coach. The Patriots have a very high ceiling at this point.
Yes.